Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome. Sorry, we actually have an emergency podcast that we actually have to do with regarding penalty results in our previous race at Atlanta Motor Speedway, regarding our race winner Kevin Orlando. And with me, joining me is our rules analyst and rules expert Justice Murphy, who is going to kick things off with exactly what happened, what we ruled, and then we're both going to go into a little bit more depth of why we did it.
Yeah, this is a you never want to have to record this podcast, Nick. This is a tough one. But basically, admin team was alerted that Kevin, the drivers believed that he had cleared his own black flag. Um, in a pit cycle where two other cars were black flagged for a similar penalty. Those two drivers served their black flag. We did find out that Kevin cleared his black flag as he was entering his pit pit box.
Tongue
Excuse me
twister.
there. So he's entering his pit box. He cleared his, trying to avoid a hold penalty for passing under yellow. It was deemed that he did not reasonably allow time for cars fully powered to basically catch up to him and keep him from getting the black flag. We didn't feel like an effort was made to stop himself from getting the black flag. He felt like he was going to um, have that cleared either way. The way that the rule book is worded, the only way that we clear that black flag is if it's a severely damaged car that's not able to catch up. And we have that, and we review that almost weekly. Somebody gets in a wreck and car's totaled, they're trying to limp it around as opposed to towing, and guys get that, and we clear those, and we go back and review them, make sure they're legitimate. But in this scenario, it was not the case. There were two cars needing to pass Kevin. So in doing that, finding out that he should have served a penalty and did not, basically we brought it up with you guys. I said, hey, the ruling is the penalty should have been served. No penalty was served. And as a result, we consider that an L1 penalty. The way our L1 or level one penalties work is it's a 10 point regular season deduction for that race, along with an end of line penalty to start the next race. Um, However, when it pertains to the race winner or stage winner, it is unfortunately the win is not stripped of him in the record book. It will still show Kevin as the winner of this race. However, he loses the 3 playoff points, the playoff eligibility that comes with it. So he will still have to either win again or point his way in to get in. But those playoff points and the playoff eligibility are awarded to second place, which is Tay McDonald in the 73 car. So never a way that you want to lock yourself in the playoffs. I know Tay, the discussion I had with him, he felt terrible about it. That's not how he wanted to get that, but unfortunately, kind of felt like the situation led to here. So just kind of want to get your thoughts. I know we discussed as an admin team. We discussed it for like an hour and a half last night. Um, Put it out there, announced to Kevin, announced to the league that this was coming, um, message Tay, and then Kevin submitted his appeal this morning, which is a part of our process. We reconvened this afternoon and met for about another 45 minutes to an hour to review the parts of his appeal. And this is the decision we came back with, unfortunately, is that we are going to uphold the L1 penalty as opposed to rescinding it.
Yeah, and to Justice's point, like he was saying, like we reviewed this thing. It actually wasn't post race, the actual race night. So like you were saying, like last night and today, we spent countless hours looking into this because this is a decision you never want to make. This is something big. It can impact the guy's season. I know the caliber driver that Kevin is. I know this obviously hurts him, but I know he has the ability to overcome this. However, with regarding to Kevin's penalty, actually we had two other drivers that also received the same penalty, them being Jeff Israel and then Blake Cook as well, which actually Blake actually received the second penalty for speeding on pit road for that under that same pit stop. However, Jeff ended up serving his penalty. coming out of the pits, he actually ended up getting an EOL, which was going to be the penalty for passing car under yellow, which Blake ended up having actually to serve his speeding penalty, and then coming out of the pits, he had to serve his EOL as well. So it wasn't like we're singling Kevin out here. This is a decision that we looked at extensively. This is a decision that we took in the different parameters of where those said cars were that they had to let by, where they were on track, depending on like we were looking at speed of all three cars. We were looking at the speed of the two cars that had to get by them, and we deemed it as all the cars were going the same speed. Actually, the two cars trailing were going actually at a higher rate of speed per track distance than the other three were, and it came to a determination that uh, the other three cars didn't make a significant amount of an attempt to allow those two cars get by. So unfortunately, we do have to give out this penalty to Kevin. Like I said, we looked at every single angle we could have to do this. I know Kevin put in his appeal, and a bunch of other drivers in our league stated their opinions and what they thought would could be what the penalty should be and what their opinion on the situation was. But with us at Racing Revolution, we have a high standard to a lot of different black flags that get placed by iRacing, and we try to police it where we allow iRacing to do what they have to do. We don't try to manipulate the race. So if you get a black flag, we do not clear it under any circumstance. The only ones that we clear as of this year are the black flag that you get because of the choose cone, because drivers aren't going to be where they're supposed to be because of the choose cone. That's what you get. So when we get to turn one, all those black flags get cleared. The other ones that we do clear, yes, we do clear passing under yellow black flags. However, that's only if that said car that you have to let by is underpowered, will not get back to you at all, or if they have to tow, that also happens too. But for in this instance, those three drivers did not make an attempt to let those cars catch up. In this case with Kevin, he was the only one of those three drivers to clear his own black, which as an admin team, that was one of the main rules that we came in here doing this. We never clear our own penalties at all. So that was also a violation that Kevin did. So we put that into consideration as well. But unfortunately, with our findings and our rulings and everything that we came out to, it's just unfortunate that we had to do that for Kevin. But it sucks. I know. I know this is his first race win, his first career win in RR. That does not go away, like Justice was saying. He still gets to keep that win in the record books. It's just all the bonus points actually will go down to Tay, who finished in second place. Um, like I said, just unfortunate, Justice. You know.
Yeah, the thing I was glad to see out of this is when we were discussing things that losing the win loses. Kevin not necessarily losing the win; he's going to get the win, but the playoff
Yeah.
eligibility that he loses. We are doing an all-star race later this season. He did manage to win the pole yesterday, so the pole winners will get into the all-star race. So I was glad to get to keep that. But man, I hate it for Kevin. You know, I think all of us hate it for Kevin because it's tough. You know, nobody wants to have this situation come up, but we just felt like we didn't have a choice, and then we kind of had to make sure that it was fair for everybody. And considering the other two drivers served the penalty. And listen, we went and looked. I mean, we were looking at other cars that also had to let people pass that got on the pit road. I mean, there was the 77 who maintained pace until he got maybe what I don't know 100 200 yards from pit road entry,
Yeah, and actually
and he
Grant the
stopped
77,
rolling.
he had to
Yeah.
let the same cars go by too. So
Yes.
you know.
Yeah, he didn't stop rolling, but he was rolling about 75, so it allowed the other cars to catch up, get by him. But there was just not a reasonable effort made by any of the three cars. Jeff, Kevin, Blake, and Jeff and Blake served their penalty, and there was part of the discussion, Nick, was, hey, do we think that Kevin could have won the race if he took the EOL there? There was 32 laps left. I think we went green, or 31 laps remaining. did we think that Kevin could have won the race if he took the EOL? And when we looked at it, we compared where's Blake running, where's Jeff running after the restart, and I think the peak position for Blake, he restarted like 19th or 20th. Jeff restarted 23rd, 24th. I think the peak position was Blake, and he got up to 10th. But then he was just, I told Rob, he was just kind of in purgatory. He was stuck, like he couldn't go anywhere. So we looked at that, and it counted for that. Like, was there going to be an option where Kevin could get up there without causing incidents, causing a wreck, wrecking somebody to get there? And when we took that into consideration, we just felt like um, him clearing his black flag directly contributed to him winning the race because he didn't have to give up 20 positions or 17 positions
Oh, yeah,
because of it.
it definitely gave him an unfair advantage in that aspect of it. And when me and Jessica talk about the parameters and all the logistics of all this, we actually timed the time from the two drivers that they had to let by. The first driver that they had to let by was they were going to lose a second. From the time that they hit pit road to that guy hit pit road. The second car that they would have to let by, they were going to lose 2.5 seconds. We timed it with a stopwatch. They weren't going to lose track position at all. Like, yes, they would have lost those two spots. Technically, those weren't their spots to have anyway, so they would have been in their correct spot anyway. But the advantage that they would have gained by not letting those guys go by wasn't technically an advantage anyway. If they let them go by, they Kevin would have still been where he was at that end of the race, right? You know, because those two guys that were involved in the wreck that were still fully powered, were gonna sit on pit road for at least an extra 5 seconds to get their damage repaired, you know. But the damage wasn't that significant where they weren't underpowered for them to allow them to go by. So again, it we took you cannot believe the amount of things that went into this decision because this is again a hard one to make.
I think the explanation we can offer people about why this is even a penalty, why this is a thing, the passing under yellow, because you don't see this in real life, right? Where if there's a wreck, the guys are checking up for the wreck. Everybody's checking up. They're kind of maneuvering past. Guys don't pass each other under yellow, right? Um, in iRacing, you have guys that say, "Oh, I can split this gap." Oh, hang on. Rob was calling me. So you can split this gap, and I'm gonna arca through here. You know, we call it arca braking. You know, when you pile into a wreck late. Um, and so people are gonna do that, and there's other people that are checking up, which is what the two cars that Kevin needed to let pass. They were checking up for a wreck, and Jeff, Kevin, and Blake kind of sped by it, past those guys, and iRacing's just trying to fairly get those guys back into position. So that's kind of where that rule stems from. You know, it's not trying to give totaled vehicles their position back. It's
Mhm.
trying to give guys that are healthy running cars a chance to reclaim their position properly.
Yeah, and like you were saying, like if iRacing didn't have that, you would have like say like I was in fifth, but the wreck happened up front, and then say like you were 22nd, but yet you saw the apron was clear and you just drove right through all the way you could until you got to the pace car. You hit that start finish line where the pit road is. You went from 22nd, you could have gone all the way to fifth, fourth, even first, you know. So that's
Exactly.
why iRacing has this in place. This is why we respect the iRacing rules set in stone. That's why we do not change or clear any blacks that iRacing gives out because they have this system in place. It's not a flawless system, but it's a perfect system for our league to make sure it's a level playing field and everyone can have a fair advantage um, racing every single night.
Yeah, and what this does bring about is there will be some updates done to the rule book. We did discuss that as well, just to try to clear up some of these situations. We don't want to have any gray area or people feel like, oh, you ruled this way because it's Kevin. When it's me later, are you going to rule harsher?
Mhm.
We want to make sure that it's clear cut. We feel right in the moment that it's it's a clear cut L1 penalty. He did not serve a proper penalty. and that's why we're enforcing this. But we're going to make sure it's clear in the rule book and that everybody's understanding it the same way because we want to make sure that it's a fair playing field, like you were saying.
Yeah, and I mean, it like we both said, it sucks, but it is what it is. We have to do what we have to do. Congrats to Tay to clinching the playoffs. I know he didn't want to do it that way, especially since him and Kevin are teammates. But Justice Rules Analyst, thank you for hopping on this emergency podcast with me. I hope this clears up any questions that people may have with regarding when we post a penalty here. Also, I mean, if anybody has any questions or anything at all, please feel free to comment on the podcast, comment on the YouTube, even message us on Facebook if you guys have questions about our rulings, our rules, or just if you want to join our league, because I mean, we're a great group of guys. I know this league's grown in the year that we've been going on, and I mean,
Give them them
guy,
tags for the
yeah,
socials, Nick.
so Facebook obviously is Racing Revolution. We have an Instagram as well. That's also at racing_revolution. We do have a Twitter as well. We're not as active on Twitter, but I think since we started this podcast, we're going to be posting all those to all those socials. And big shout out. I know we haven't talked about them, the two podcast episodes that we've done so far, but we are going to have him on as a special guest. I have reached out to him to see if he wants to do it, and that's Simtrax Broadcasting with Patrick Morrison. They're a top tier uh, broadcasting team. Him and Stella. I know Stella's not on with him every single week, but she's on with us at Racing Revolution, and we can't give those two people enough credit for what they do.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, again, Justice, thank you for coming on here with me, our rules analyst. And this is Nick and Justice signing off.
Signing
See ya.
off. See you Thursday.